something said under coercion. Anything they heard, even if it wasn't their place. Fans are amazed not just by what was supposedly said, but also by the speed at which the plot developed. Ominous. Online silence, illness, guilt, and betrayal. As people tried to draw connections between seemingly unrelated items, their emotions were running high. Why go to court now? Why is Tamar's name linked to something she hasn't talked about in public? Some say insiders are leaking information about the peace lunch. Some believe that the story becomes more dramatic each time it is reposted. One thing, nonetheless, is undeniable. The narrative has already started to develop on its own. Rumor had it that the family had broken up. Supporters rushed to defend. Critics escalated their accusations. And at the heart of it all is an unanswered question. Who knew? How long has this been kept a secret? If even a tiny percentage of these tales are true, since the harm doesn't wait for information, first, it spreads when alleged confessions, health issues, and court rumors come together. The morning after those trial rumors surfaced, the internet didn't feel very lively. It was wary. It seemed as if everyone was waiting for someone else to confirm what, at first. Nobody wanted to speak out loud. Fans are shocked that the story wasn't mentioned in a headline or an official source. It leaked through whispers. Posts that were just partially prepared and vanished after a few minutes were captured on screen during talks. ... Every version had the unsettling core. Braxton, that Tamar, is now getting drawn into the emotional debris that remained after a very private matter involving Mendeecees allegedly came to light in court. According to comments on the internet, this wasn't presented as a deliberate dramatic confession. It was described as a heated legal occasion that went off course, an excessive line of inquiry, a response that was not meant to be heard outside the room. But once it got going, it was unstoppable. People began repeating the same phrases. He said it himself. It took place in court. They mentioned HIV. With every retelling, the narrative grew darker, heavier, and more dangerous. Feelings soared almost immediately. Some admirers demanded proof and referred to it as a dangerous rumor. Some people took the rumors at face value, saying that such things don't just happen. Conflicts between strangers who felt a personal connection filled timelines because this was not just a scandal. It was roughly health, betrayal, and a woman whose name was always connected to sadness, whether she spoke or kept silent. When Tamar's name began to trend together with words like court and HIV, the subject became more difficult. Advocates begged people not to assume anything about the health of others in the comments sections. Critics ignored those pleas, seeing previous interviews and memorable events as clues. They suddenly viewed all of the earlier breakdowns as foreshadowing. Fans are amazed at how quickly empathy vanished as soon as the rumor machine picked up speed. Tamar was allegedly absent from this alleged courtroom altercation, according to internet gossip. Because of this, many people thought the story was more harsh. The chance that she learned of these accusations in the same way as the general public? Commentators speculated that the shock itself might have caused a strong emotional response. Soon, unconfirmed posts began to assert that she was sick, hospitalized, while others said it was repeated enough times that people who were started to believe it, even though none of it was verified. The public narrative at least suggested that the family was divided. Numerous sources state that the unchecked propagation of rumors infuriated families. Others argued that since many people projected their own experiences of illness and betrayal onto a family they only knew through edited silence signified guilt. Emotions were running high. In reality TV culture, perception often takes precedence over reality, and despite the lack of evidence, this becomes something of. According to alleged insiders, there was anxiety behind the scenes, with phones ringing and calls going unanswered. Emails received but not responded to. There was no discussion of the truth. They wanted to know how bad things might get. The most unsettling part, according to someone who claimed to be close to the problem, wasn't the rumor in and of itself, but rather how swiftly it evolved into a tale of death and irreversible damage. Silently, such comments don't disappear. Fans began to question why the courtroom setting was so crucial once they joined the discussion. Court legality implications suggest seriousness. The rumor gained legitimacy just because of the association. Despite the lack of an official announcement, most thought that all statements made under oath or under duress had to be accurate. Others tried to defuse the situation by reminding everyone that remark does not constitute confirmation. But that presumption just made things worse. When the subject of motivation was raised, emotions rose again. Why would someone bring up such a sensitive topic now? Some believed it to be an accident. Others claimed it was a deliberate attempt to frighten or deflect attention. Conspiracy theories took off overnight. None of them were grounded. Every single one of them makes noise. The more disjointed the explanations became, the more distant the reality became. The public was reminded of Tamar's past struggles. Videos of her talking about emotional exhaustion from the past surfaced. Her tears on tape were misconstrued as proof that she had always been tense. Previously sympathetic fans started discussing whether she was resilient enough to handle another controversy. Many bystanders thought this conversation was rude and invasive. The important argument raised by those who defended her was that health-related rumors harm more than just reputations. They hurt real people, families, and children. But in the competition for clicks and reactions, that message failed to stand out. The discussion went on. New claims, new sources. New exaggerations are layered on top of older ones. By the end of the day, the story had gone well beyond what was supposed to have happened in that courtroom. It has arrived at symbolized the rate at which speculation could materialize into actuality. In addition to the rumor itself, fans are shocked at how easily someone's health and dignity were exploited for entertainment. When people recognized that the damage to peace and trust had already been done, their emotions were running high. The conversation didn't stop when darkness fell, despite the fact that everything being said was false. It sharpened. Announcements were expected, but they never came. Silence was interpreted in every possible way. Some people experienced guilt, self-control, in relation to other people. One thing, nevertheless, was undeniable. Whatever had truly happened, the story had escalated from hearsay to something far more dangerous. After that barrier is reached, no amount of explanation can totally reverse what people think they heard first, crossed eventually. The emphasis shifted from what was allegedly said in court to who might have known well before anyone else. Fans are shocked as the allegations continue since when the topic was brought up, doors were opened that would never be closed. All of the earlier conversations were suddenly re-examined. Each uncomfortable pause was repeated. Suspicion grew with each second that went by between people. Online commentators began theorizing that this was not a single incident, but rather the result of years of concealed secrets. Emotions were running high as individuals speculated about intimate conversations that might have happened off camera. Some claimed that warnings were ignored. Others maintained that no one could have predicted such a catastrophic occurrence. The lack of clear solutions just made the chaos worse. Tamar reportedly felt overwhelmed by the reports in addition to by the speed at which her name emerged as the emotional center of the narrative. People were talking about more than just a supposed courtroom event, according to comments that was circulating. They were talking about her strength, her body, and her ability to withstand adversity. The was considered obtrusive even by ardent supporters. But the narrative went on without her consent. The public's opinion of the family, consent. The public's opinion of the family is protected by confusion? Who is hurt regardless of the truth? Those unsolved questions were overshadowed by loud debates. As the days passed, the urgency shifted from shock to anticipation. The story's veracity was no longer questioned. They were curious about what would happen next. A proclamation, dissection, a confirmation something. Fans are shocked by the idea that quiet might fall than denial. Throughout one disturbing real light, the rumor had already achieved its objective. It had undermined self-esteem, brought back wound, personal pain into speculation. There would still be the emotional residue. The truth finds it impossible to breathe in that region. Even if all of the assertions were, since once a story gets this far, it stops to be about facts and instead becomes a matter of belief, concerning dread and projection. The damage is ongoing, even though it's not always apparent. And as it became clear that the consequences were no longer hypothetical. They were happening in real time, actually happened behind closed doors, endure long after the internet has evolved. By the time the talk reached its peak intensity, it was hard anything else. The story had stopped evolving naturally and started to sustain itself. Every post that followed referenced every validity of another.